My mom stole my $45,000 college fund from my sister's house, so I slept in my car. At 18, now a millionaire, I face them again and turn the tables. Before watching the video, right where you are watching it in the comments, subscribe and like, so that more people can watch this video. Enjoy. I'm Alex, 18 years old back then, male. I had one plan drilled into me since I was 13. Work hard, keep my grades up, and use the $45,000 college fund my grandparents left me to escape my family's chaos. That fund was the one thing that kept me breathing through years of being the background kid. See, my older sister, Emily, 22 at the time, was the sun in my mom's eyes. Everything orbited around her. She could crash a car drunk, cry in the kitchen, and suddenly it was boys pressured her into it. Meanwhile, if I so much as forgot to rinse my cereal bowl, I was lazy, ungrateful, or wasting my potential. The college fund wasn't from my parents. My grandparents, Dad's side, had set it aside specifically for me. They'd written it in black and white, for Alex's education, untouched until he was ready for school. My mom, Carla, 46, thought of that money like it was just sitting there waiting for her dreams instead of mine. Carla wasn't the yelling type at first. She was the sighing, guilt-tripping, backhand compliment type. Alex, you're not really cut out for college anyway. Maybe you'd do better with a trade. That money could really help Emily settle down, don't you think? A house would be so much smarter. I remember laughing nervously, thinking she was joking. She wasn't. Then came the day she sat me at the kitchen table. It was just me, her, and Emily. Mom had her serious face on, the one she wore when she wanted to sound like she was doing something noble while stabbing me in the back. Emily wouldn't even look at me, just kept stirring her coffee with that fake nonchalance she used whenever she was guilty. Alex, Mom started, we've decided the college fund is going to be used for something that benefits the whole family. Emily and her fiancé are buying their first house, and it's the right thing to do. You'll figure out another way. I couldn't even speak. My chest felt hollow, like she'd scooped me out with a spoon. $45,000, my lifeline gone. Just like that. Emily finally looked up, cheeks pink, muttering, "It's just money, Alex. You can always get loans." That night I sat in my car, parked at the edge of town, staring at my reflection in the rearview mirror. It was January, freezing, and I had nowhere else to go. Home wasn't home anymore. I grabbed the old sleeping bag from the trunk and curled up in the back seat, shivering, trying to swallow the truth. I'd been robbed by my own mother, and my sister was in on it. That was the first night I slept in my car, and it wasn't the last. The thing about sleeping in a car at 18 is it strips away any illusion that you're still a kid. The cold does that to you. The damp smell of the seats, the stiff ache in your back, the sound of trucks screaming down the highway at 3 a.m. That was my freshman orientation. I still showed up to school the next morning, teeth chattering, pretending I hadn't just spent the night in a rusted Honda Civic. My best friend Marcus noticed. He always noticed. He was the kind of guy who'd clown on me for wearing mismatched socks, but get dead serious when something was really wrong. "Bro, you look like death. What happened?" I wanted to lie, but the words spilled out before I could stop them. They took it. The fund. I don't have college anymore. His jaw clenched, and for a second I thought he would actually go march into my house and cuss my mom out. Instead, he shoved his hoodie at me. "Take this. You're freezing." That moment stuck with me, someone choosing me over convenience. At home, Carla acted like nothing had happened. She floated around humming while Emily and her fiancé, Jason, came over every night to gush about house listings. It's an investment in all our futures, Mom said once, looking at me like I should clap. I couldn't even look at Emily. She had the audacity to tell me she'd make sure there was always a room for me once they got the house, like he was doing me some huge favor with my own damn money. The anger kept boiling, but I was scared too. I didn't want to end up bitter and stuck in town, dragging myself through shifts at the gas station forever. So, I made a decision. If they weren't going to give me my future, I'd carve one out myself. I picked up every odd job I could find. Stocking shelves overnight at Walmart, cleaning gutters, mowing lawns for people who barely remembered my name. Every dollar went into a secret account under my name only. Some nights I crashed at Marcus's, but mostly it was the car, hidden behind the old church where no one bothered to check. One evening I stopped by the house to grab some clean clothes. Carla was in the living room, gushing to Jason about how our family is finally moving forward. She looked up at me with this fake brightness and said, "Don't sulk, Alex. You'll thank me one day. Emily's stability is stability for all of us." I bit my tongue until I tasted blood. That was the night I promised myself something I never said out loud. One day I'd make it so big they'd have no choice but to see me. And when that day came, I wouldn't just remember what they did. I'd make sure they remembered too. Survival turned me into a ghost in my own life. I'd show up to school, keep my head down, and vanish again before anyone noticed. The Civic became my bedroom, my locker, my escape hatch. I got good at brushing my teeth in gas stations and bathrooms, at pretending the circles under my eyes were just all-nighters. Marcus tried to pull me back into normal life, but I couldn't risk dragging him down. His parents were decent people, the kind who asked how my day was and actually meant it. I didn't want to explain why I smelled like mildew or why I flinched every time I drove past my old street. Meanwhile, the house situation for Emily and Jason went full throttle. Carla was practically floating on air when they closed on a place. She baked a damn cake to celebrate. White frosting, "Our Future" piped across it in loopy letters. When I walked in that night, sweaty from a double shift, Emily beamed like she'd won the lottery. "Isn't it perfect, Alex? You'll always have a couch to crash on." The words burned. My couch, my fund, my stolen future. I didn't say a word. I just turned around and left before I snapped. That night in the Civic, I kicked the passenger seat until the fabric tore. My knuckles bled from punching the dashboard. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was the way they made me invisible, like my dreams didn't matter. That was the breaking point. I started skipping sleep to study coding tutorials on Marcus's old laptop. I found free resources online, scoured forums, and threw myself into it like my life depended on it. Because it did. Every job I worked, every dollar I saved went toward better Wi-Fi, a second-hand monitor, and enough instant noodles to keep me upright. There were nights I thought I'd cave. Nights when frost crept across the Civic windows, and I wondered if maybe my mom was right, that I wasn't cut out for college, that I was destined to be small. But every time I pictured Carla's smug little smile, or Emily's tone-deaf pity, I dug my heels in harder. One afternoon I drove by their new house out of a pure masochism. Emily and Jason were on the porch, laughing with Carla. They looked like some perfect family unit, my mom glowing like she'd finally been validated as a mother. I sat across the street, engine idling, hands trembling on the wheel. That was when the thought hit me, sharp as glass. They think they've erased me. They think this story doesn't include me anymore. I whispered it to myself. A vow. Not forever. You'll choke on my name one day. The Civic broke down on me in the middle of a February night. I was coming back from a graveyard shift stocking shelves, the heater wheezing like a dying animal when the engine coughed and quit right under a flickering streetlight. I sat there, forehead on the steering wheel, feeling the whole fragile scaffolding of my life collapse. No car meant no bed, no way to get to work, no shield between me and the world. I almost called Carla, I almost begged. But then I saw her face in my mind, smug, triumphant, rehearsing her lines. See? He couldn't make it without us. Instead, I called Marcus. He showed up half an hour later with his old pickup and a thermos of coffee. He didn't lecture me, didn't pity me. Just said, couch is yours, no arguments. That week, I officially moved in with him and his family. His mom hugged me like I belonged there. His dad handed me a set of house rules like I was worth the effort of keeping around. It wrecked me more than the cold ever did, realizing kindness still existed. That was the lifeline I needed. With actual warmth, Wi-Fi, and sleep, I started grinding for real. Coding projects turned into freelance gigs. Freelance gigs turned into steady contracts. By the end of senior year, I was making more money from my laptop than Jason made at his warehouse job. I didn't tell my family, not a word. I let them think I was drifting, barely hanging on. I wanted them comfortable in their story where I was the failure and Emily was the crown jewel. The only time Carla reached out was for appearances. "Come see the house," she'd chirp, like I should be grateful to stand in the middle of my stolen future. I went once. Emily showed me the guest room with this fake smile, chirping about how it could be my space if I needed it. There was a framed photo of her and Jason on the dresser, both of them beaming while I was nowhere to be seen. I excused myself to the bathroom and stared at my reflection, jaw clenched. I whispered, "This isn't yours forever." Because here's the thing. My story wasn't ending in that guest room. It was just beginning. 2 years later, I was pulling 6 figures. By 23, I'd launched my own company. By 25, I was a millionaire. And every dollar I earned made one truth burn brighter. I hadn't just survived them. I was going to return. And when I did, it wouldn't be as the forgotten kid they stole from. It would be as the storm they never saw coming. By the time I turned 26, the Civic was long gone. In its place sat a Tesla, parked outside the condo I owned outright. My company had just closed a contract with a major retail chain, and my name was quietly circulating in rooms I never thought I'd step foot in. But family has a way of sniffing you out when you're doing well. The first message came from Emily, a cheery little Facebook DM with a photo of her 2 kids. "Hey, stranger, they'd love to meet their uncle." No mention of the past, no apology. Just like we were supposed to pick up from, "You'll always have a couch here." Then Carla called. Her voice was sugar sweet, like she'd forgotten the nights I shivered in a car because she chose Emily's house over my future. "Alex, honey, we should have dinner. It's been too long. Your sister really misses you." What she really missed was in my bank account. Jason had been laid off from his warehouse job, and Emily's Instagram boutique was bleeding money. The dream house they bought with my fund had a leaking roof, a mortgage teetering on default, and bills piling up faster than Jason could stack resumes. I listened, stone-faced, as Carla spun it into a sob story. "Family sticks together, Alex. That money you have now, it's a blessing you should share." Something in me cracked, not with sadness, but with cold, deliberate clarity. They hadn't changed, not one bit. To them, I'd always be the utility, the spare part, the safety net. So I agreed. I said yes to dinner, yes to seeing the house again, yes to pretending we were one big happy family. Carla squealed like she'd won the lottery. Emily texted me emojis. Jason sent a half-hearted, "Glad you're doing well, man." But while they were planning a cozy little reunion, I was planning something else. Marcus was the only one I told. He grinned like a devil when I laid it out. "Poetic justice," he said. "About damn time." I wasn't going to scream at them or demand repayment. Money wasn't the point anymore. No, I wanted something sweeter. I wanted them exposed in their own living room. I wanted them to choke on their own hypocrisy with every relative, neighbor, and friend watching. So I set the stage. And when the night finally came, me walking into the same house they had stolen from me years ago, I wasn't the kid they left behind. I was the storm knocking on their door. Walking back into that house felt like stepping into a crime scene. Same beige walls, same framed family photos where I was either cropped out or shoved to the corner. The guest room they once bragged about was now crammed with storage boxes. Carla rushed me at the door, squeezing me so tight it felt like possession. "Alex, look at you, our successful boy." Her perfume hit my nose like cheap wine gone sour. Emily came next, kids clinging to her legs. "They've heard so much about Uncle Alex," she said brightly, as if the last time I saw her she wasn't stealing my future. Jason hung back, offering a limp handshake and a forced smile. Dinner started civil enough. Emily bragging about her business, Carla interrupting every few minutes to ask about my company. "So proud," she cooed. "See, all those sacrifices we made were worth it." Sacrifices. That word was gasoline on fire. I waited until dessert, until everyone was settled with pie on their plates, before I pulled out the folder. Neatly printed bank statements, copies of the will from my grandparents, the paper trail of the $45,000 transfer Carla had orchestrated all those years ago. I laid them on the table. The room went silent except for Jason's fork clattering to the plate. "You called it sacrifice," I said, voice steady. "But here's the truth. You stole from me, from your own son, from the only thing my grandparents left me." Carla's face drained of color. Emily sputtered. "Alex, don't do this!" "Oh, I'm doing this," I cut in, "because I want everyone here to know the truth. You told me I wasn't cut out for college. You told me loans would be fine. Meanwhile, you funded this house, the one you're about to lose to foreclosure, with my future." Carla's voice cracked into a shriek. "Stop humiliating us!" She stood, hands trembling, knocking her glass over. Red wine spread across the tablecloth like blood. "Humiliation?" I leaned forward. "This isn't humiliation. This is justice." Emily started crying. Jason swore under his breath. And Carla, always the performer, slammed her hand down, the wine glass shattering into pieces. "We did what was best for the family!" she screamed, tears and spit flying. I didn't flinch. I stood, straightened my jacket, and said, "And I did what was best for me. I became more than you ever thought possible. And tonight, I wanted you to see what you threw away." Then I walked out, leaving them in a room that smelled like spilled wine and broken glass, just as broken as the image they'd built of themselves. The messages started that same night. My phone buzzed so much I thought it would melt through the nightstand. Emily was first. How could you do that in front of the kids? They were terrified. "You're cruel." Jason chimed in. "You embarrassed my wife, don't ever come back here." And then Carla. Paragraphs of fury, guilt trips, and half-delusional rewrites of history. "We gave you life. We clothed you. We fed you. That money was for the family, not just for you. Don't you dare paint us as villains when we sacrificed everything." I didn't reply. Silence was the sharpest knife I had. But silence didn't stop them. 2 days later, Emily showed up at my office. She barged past reception, red-faced, hair frazzled, clutching one of the kids on her hip. "You think you're better than us now?" she spat. "You sit in your glass tower while we drown? You're supposed to help your family, Alex. That's what money's for." Security escorted her out while she screamed down the hallway. "Ungrateful bastard, you'll die alone." Clients were staring, employees were whispering, but me? I felt a calm settle over me, almost like vindication. Let her show the world exactly who she was. Carla wasn't any better. She started calling Marcus's parents, begging them to talk sense into Alex. She left voicemails crying, then raging, then crying again, her voice breaking into high-pitched shrieks. One even ended with, "If you won't help us, I don't want you as a son anymore." That one stung, but not for the reason she thought. It stung because I realized I hadn't had a real mother in years. Just a woman who saw me as a resource to plunder. The final straw came the following weekend. I woke up to find my Tesla keyed, and deep, angry lines carved across the paint. A note shoved under the wiper in sloppy handwriting. "Blood is thicker than money." I didn't need a detective to guess who'd done it. I stood there in the morning sun staring at the damage and laughed. Actually laughed. Because that note told me everything. They weren't ashamed of what they'd done. They weren't sorry. They were furious I'd taken away the script where they won. So I made a decision. No more silent victories. No more letting them rewrite history. I was going to put the truth where they couldn't bury it, once and for all. I didn't rush it. Revenge tastes sweeter when it's savored, not swallowed. So I waited. A month later, Emily threw one of her desperate networking parties at the house. The same house my college fund had paid for. Realtors, wannabe influencers, Jason's old buddies from the warehouse. They were all there, sipping cheap wine while pretending to be important. I got an invite, probably Carla's idea, hoping I'd show up and play the role of the prodigal son turned cash machine. I RSVP'd, yes. This time I didn't walk in quietly. I walked in with a presentation, literally. Marcus helped me set it up. Projector, slides, the whole 9 yards. While people milled around the living room, I tapped my glass. "Since we were all here," I began, smiling, "I thought I'd share a little story about family investments." The projector flickered on. Up came the first slide, a scan of my grandparents' will, then the bank records, then the $45,000 transfer, then photos of me at 18, gaunt, sitting in my Civic with frost on the windows. Marcus had snapped those without me knowing back then. The room went silent. Forks froze midair. Emily's face drained to chalk. Jason muttered something about turning it off, but I kept going. Slide after slide, I laid it all bare. How Carla rerouted money meant for my education into Emily's house. How I slept in my car while they cut cake in their kitchen. How every so-called sacrifice was actually theft. When I finished, I closed the laptop. That's the truth. That's who they are, and I built my future in spite of it. The silence after was electric. Then the murmurs started. Guests exchanging glances, people edging toward the door. One woman actually put her glass down and muttered, "Jesus Christ." Carla exploded first. She lunged at the projector, shrieking, He's lying! He's trying to destroy us!" But Marcus, bless him, caught it all on his phone. Her wild eyes, her clawing hands, her voice cracking into hysteria. Emily broke down sobbing, mascara streaking, screaming at me to stop ruining her life. Jason just stood there, pale and silent, and finally realizing the gravy train had derailed for good. I left them like that, exposed, unraveling in front of the very people they wanted to impress. And here's the thing. I didn't need to shout. I didn't need to smash a single thing. The truth was louder than anything I could have screamed. Driving home, I passed the Civic's old resting spot behind the church. For a moment, I pictured that kid curled up in the back seat, praying for warmth, for a way out. I whispered to him, "We made it, and they'll never erase us again."